For this portion of the exercise, we're simply going to make a countertop. So we'll start with the bathroom and we'll make a vanity countertop. So for this, we're going to do something called an in-place family because we don't have a countertop family right now that you can place into the family or into the project. So an in-place family, if you remember from the lecture, is like a loadable family, but you don't create it outside of the project environment. You create it while you're looking at the project. So in order to do this, we're going to go to the architectural tab and the component tab. And if you click the little arrow, it says model in place. So let's click that button. And what it's going to do is it's going to ask you, what is the category of the family that you're making? So we're going to call it casework, which is another word for cabinets. So it goes with the cabinets, right? So we'll click cabinets. We'll click OK. And then we can call this whatever we want. We'll call it vanity countertop if we want. Click OK. And now you'll see the ribbon changed. And it changed to the same commands that you would get if you were in the family editor environment. So even though you're in the project, it's giving you the commands as if you were building a family from scratch. So I'm going to teach you only how to extrude. These are different processes for building something in 3D. All of these little items on the Create tab. I encourage you to explore those at some time in your journey, but right now you're trying to learn too many other things, so I don't think it would be helpful if you tried to learn too much right now. This module is already pretty long, and so it would be best if you just follow along with me so that you can at least create your cabinets. And if you want to explore more, that's up to you. I do encourage it, but it's too much right now to explain all of these to you. So let's just talk about an extrusion. So if you hover over it, it kind of shows you what an extrusion is. You draw a sketch, and then you tell Revit how tall you want that sketch to be extruded, is what it's called. It's basically like taking Play-Doh and squishing it through those shape things, like when there's a star and you shove the Play-Doh through it. That's technically an extrusion. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to draw what you're wanting to be extruded, and then you're going to push the model elements through that. So for a countertop, it's one of the simplest shapes ever. It's literally a rectangle, and you're just going to extrude it the thickness of the countertop, which is typically 1.5 inches. So let's click on the extrusion button. We'll click the rectangle draw tool. So when you click extrude, it takes you automatically into a sketch. So we're just going to click the rectangle button, and we're going to pick where we want the countertop to go. So we kind of want it to go to the edge of the cabinet, and then usually a countertop overhangs the cabinet by 1 inch. And just so you saw what I did there, this is the edge of the cabinet. This is the door that's on the face of the cabinet. So I drew my countertop to the front face of the cabinet and offset it another inch. I'm also going to overhang this end by 1 inch. Okay, so I'm going to show you a handy trick after this. If you want, you could cut a hole for the sink, but that's not necessary. So I'm not gonna cut the hole because I'll show you a trick afterwards. But if you can't get the trick that I'm going to show you later to work for you, you can always come back in here and put a hole there. Okay, so I've drawn the sketch. So now the other thing I need to do is tell it how thick it is. And so right now it's by default, it says it's going to start at 0 inches off the main floor. So do you see the work plane here? So it's saying because you drew this in a floor plan view, it assumes that you want to start the extrusion right on the floor. And then it's going to go up 1 foot. So that's not what we want. From the floor, we want the top of the countertop to be 36 inches. Or at least that's the cabinet we chose. If you remember when we chose the cabinet, we picked a 36-inch high cabinet. The cabinet automatically subtracts the countertop height from the actual cabinet height. So if we picked a 36-inch cabinet, it's expecting the cabinet to be 36 inches tall. So let's put the extrusion, it's going to end at 36 inches tall. And then we want the countertop to be 1.5 inches thick. So we're going to subtract 1.5 inches from 36 inches. So that would be 34.5 inches. So let's put that in. So now what we're telling it to do is, starting at the main floor, it's not going to start the extrusion till 2 feet, 10.5 inches from the floor, and then it will stop it at 3 feet above the floor. And then we can also move down here and we can pick the material if we want. So if you click inside the material, there's this little box here, click it, and it will bring up your material selector. And I don't know if we have, let's do granite. What about stone? Nope. Counter. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's a generic countertop. Let's pick that. It's this weird color, so let's change the color to just white, like a nice off-white maybe. And then click OK. All right, so now we can finish the sketch. And now you can see it kind of covered our sink, but it's still showing the faucet. So that's a good indication that we got it in the right spot. So now we've finished creating the extrusion. Now we need to finish creating the family, because a family you could do a lot of extrusions in here, or you could do these other elements, but we're done. We just needed one extrusion to create our countertop. So we're going to hit the finish model. And now it brings us back into our normal Revit model. And let's pick the cabinet and let's do our little trick here where we do the section box around it. And hey, look at that. You can see our countertop is sitting right on top perfectly with our cabinet. So if you want to do a 2-inch countertop, let's say we want to do that. We want an extra thick edge. So the first thing we're going to need to do is click the cabinet and tell the cabinet that we want a 2-inch countertop. Because right now, if you look over here in the properties, it says counter thickness. It's accounting for 1.5-inch countertop. So let's put 2 inches. And you see how it moved it down a little bit? Now there's a gap. And now we want to edit this so that it goes 2 inches deep. So what you want to do is select it. And up here, you can see this little button that says Edit in Place. So we're going to edit it, and it will take you back into the family editor. And then you can click the extrusion. And over here, you have the properties that we already set, starting at 2 foot 10 inches and stopping at 3. So we added a 1/2 inch onto the thickness. So now the extrusion should actually start at 10 inches even, 2 foot 10 inches even. So let's change that. And now you can see it pulls down and is back flush with the cabinet. Now we can finish the model. And there we are again. So now let's put the sinkhole in. So these cabinets are built so that they'll cut a sinkhole in the countertop for you. So in order to get that to work, you have to go to the Modify tab. And there's a little command called Cut. And if you click the down arrow, it says Cut Geometry. You'll click that. And I never remember which thing. You have to click one thing. You click the cabinet and the countertop. I can never remember the order. If one order doesn't work, then reverse it. So let's see if I can do it. Let's click the cabinet first and then the countertop. That didn't work. So I'm going to undo that. Control Z. Now let's try it the other way. Let's use the cut tool and we'll do the countertop, then the cabinet, and then it worked. So that's the order. First the cabinet, so the thing that you want to cut, and then the thing that you want to do the cutting, which is the cabinet. So countertop, then cabinet. And the great thing about that is if you move the cabinet underneath the countertop, it will move the hole for the sink to match the sink. If you drew the hole in there and moved the count of the base cabinet, it would not stay, the hole would not stay aligned with the sink. You'd have to redraw the hole. So I like this way better. So now if we go to the main floor plan, you can do that everywhere. So you could make this long L-shaped countertop. The other thing you can do, let's go back to our countertop here. In fact, let's learn to sketch in 3D. So look at the 3D, select the countertop. Let's edit the in-place family. Now let's say we want a 4-inch backsplash behind the sink and along this sidewall. If you want a backsplash, all you have to do is create another extrusion. So if you go to the Create tab and you hit Extrusion, it now puts you in a sketch mode. And usually when you're sketching, you're used to being in a 2D view, which is totally fine. You can do it in, we could easily do this in 2D, but you can also do it in 3D. If you do it in 3D though, you have to remember you have to draw the sketch on a certain level. And it, by default, it thinks you're drawing down on the floor level. So if you try to draw down there in 3D, it's hard to tell where the backsplash is going to be. So you can actually reset the level on which you're drawing. So while you're in the sketch mode, do you see up here where it says work plane? And you can set a new work plane. If this is confusing to you, you can skip this and just extrude the backsplash the same way I showed you to extrude the countertop. Otherwise, just hit this set button and it brings up this dialog box, and just click this that says pick work plane. And then you're going to pick what surface you want to draw on. So we want to draw on the countertop. So now it's set the drawing plane on the top of the counter. So now I can pick the line and I can snap to the edge of the counter right there. And then I can hit escape once and I can draw a line here, hit escape once. And then I can draw a line here and maybe want the backsplash 1 inch thick. And then let's go over here and let's make it 1 inch thick here. And then all we need to do is draw lines like this. And there you go. All you're looking to do is create that closed loop. If it's a closed loop, then you're good. So now, when we look at this over here, see how the work plane doesn't say main floor anymore? It says extrusion because we picked the top of this extrusion as the base. So now the new extrusion that we're making can start on top of the other one. So we can put 0. It can start right there where we've drawn it. And it can go up 4 inches and then end. So we're going to put 4 inches and we click OK. And you can see it pops it up 4 inches. Now the only other thing we need to do is click on it. And oh, it already assigned it a material because we picked it before. But if it doesn't say a material here, you can always change it to be whatever material you want. Then when you're done, you can finish the module or the model, and then it gets you back into the project. So now we have a countertop with backsplash. All right, so that's all there is to creating an in-place family. It's useful in little situations like this, but you probably shouldn't use these too much because it will, if you use a lot of them, it'll start to make your file slow and big. Okay, good luck and we'll see you in the next video.